Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. I think I was supposed to debate Mr. Matthew Sands today. If I was supposed to do that tomorrow, Matthew, let's sort of plan on it and see what happens. Two problems. People want me to go to the park because they like to buy my paintings on nice days. So I try to go to the park if I have the day off and it's a really nice day. If it's too hot or if it's raining or if it's windy, I don't go. So, if tomorrow's really nice, I'm going to go to the park for 2 or 3 hours. So that might interrupt our thing. If it's not nice, if it's too hot, or if it's raining, then I'll be here on the computer after work tomorrow evening. Okay, so I'm about to go to work here now. Here's what I want to talk about here because Existence University, I think is his name, right? The online dude is, he's an objectivist. He's upset at me about dark matter and stuff. Here is the issue. Salient issue is that galaxies are rotating too fast for the matter that's in them. So somebody proposed that there's just invisible matter outside, around the galaxy. A lot of invisible matter outside, around the galaxy. Now you say to me, what do I propose? Right? Well, how about just look at the goddamn galaxy and the rotation of it? And just say, okay, how is it then that this can rotate in this way? Now I know there's some dark matter. I know there are brown dwarfs. Now I know there's non-luminous gas that would illuminate if we had something near it. Right? I know there's a lot of, and there are black holes. The electric universe theory, by the way, is not, it does not have its shit together. It's got a lot of kooks in it. Okay? So not everything, in fact, virtually nothing in it sounds remotely reasonable to me, except the stuff that you guys can't explain. I think that's the only stuff they're going to end up with. I mean, the electric universe is full of stuff like cosmology of ancient tribes. It's just weirdest shit you ever imagined. So I'm not into that. And some of them are religious even. So I don't know what's going on with all of that. But what evidence do I have of the electric universe? I have galaxies spinning around at amazing speeds. Here's my one question. If dust and gas, not dust really, if gas in the very, very early universe, 13 billion years ago, if gas could get moving by electric storms, you know, a storm with a lightning bolt that's 100 billion miles long, like some of these electric storms we see in some of the supernova and stuff like this. This is in the early universe when it's very hot and very dense and it starts to spread out and there would be arrangement, and so there would be electric storms, possibly not, you know, to come to think, I was going to say really big, right? But not really that big because this is early in the universe when the universe is first spreading out. So these electric storms wouldn't really be that big early on, would they? They would just be normal size, what we think of as normal. Nothing was normal then, right? Everything was squished in one area, so everything was abnormal. But not like these electric storms have to stretch all the way across the galaxies that we know today, do they? The galaxies are where they are today, but they came from whatever event happened in this early period of inflation and the Big Bang and stuff. Did electricity play some part in it? It certainly shows up in the spinning neutron stars, spinning black holes, gas and dust falling into black holes. It certainly shows up as a force in supernova and the explosions around nova. All right, certainly. And sunspots are evidence of this. Let me wet my whistle. We definitely see electricity. Now, my question is, if it was a force early on in the Big Bang and got things moving, does inertia just keep them moving? Like, that could be what's going on with the galaxies. If they were just gas that became into motion through electrical thingy, whatever that is. You know, I don't have anything better than you do because you guys just have specks of dark matter from the early Big Bang. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Or you have random fluctuations in the original Big Bang jam, right? And the random fluctuations are denser parts which slowly attract. Well, why couldn't we have this touched off by an electric storm? We certainly have the ability to have electricity early on. We have electrons, free-floating electrons early in the universe. And then eventually we have matter for them to cling on and run through. All we need is the dispersion of the stuff so that electricity has to move from here to there in order to equalize things. And you can get currents and stuff. Now, how good is this? I don't know. I don't know. What I need convincing of is if it were to set this gas in motion, would that motion just be preserved to this day? I mean, really, there's nothing that would go in and slow those things down. Like, there's the gas spinning around in the galaxy, and there it is turning into stars, but there it is still spinning, right? Like if you were born and the Earth was moving, at what point in your life would you slow down? You wouldn't, right? You're on the Earth. So, if this stuff comes from gargantuan electric storms, not really, very gargantuan, very small electric storms in the early universe, if the shapes and the locations of matter come from electric storms, that might be an explanation, and then we can look at the galaxies and see them spinning the way they do and behaving the way they do as a relic of their nature, rather than making up this dark matter, which is just, there's no evidence for it, it's utter nonsense, and the only interactions that it has is with equations. So it's undetectable, and they say so. They say that it's undetectable. It's invisible. If that much mass were out in a ring around the outside of galaxies, I mean, it's transparently just a mathematical epicycle in order to get gravity to do the work of moving the galaxy. Why do you think gravity's doing the work of moving the galaxy? I have evidence that it's not doing the work of moving the galaxy because the galaxy's spinning around at a tremendous rate compared to the amount of matter we measure in them. So I have plenty of evidence that something is going on besides gravity. So what evidence do you have that there's invisible, undetectable matter? I mean, come on. Get your theory together and get real. This is string theory. This is string theory for gravity people. That's all it is.